The Honda Super Cub story is about the incredible things that can happen when engineering and marketing genius combine forces. The Super Cub stands out in the annals of history, with a legacy more widespread and influential than any other motorcycle has had or could ever have again. Introduced in 1958, the Super Cub quickly captured the hearts of riders around the world with functionality, reliability, and accessibility, making it ideal for urban and rural transportation. Its enduring popularity has made it the best-selling motor vehicle in history, with over 100 million produced to date. The Super Cub showcased Honda's uncanny skills at spotting emerging market opportunities around the globe, creating a product to meet the diverse needs of those markets, then putting in place efficient manufacturing and distribution to supply those markets with unmatched economies of scale. Much of this bike's success was due to its design, which, although innovative, was elegantly simple, making it affordable, reliable, and easy to repair. But the Super Cub's sales success was also the result of brilliant marketing, which revolutionized the industry by redefining the image of the motorcycle. In doing so, Honda made motorcycles appeal to a wider market that included newcomers and seasoned enthusiasts alike. The Super Cub established Honda as a global leader, building its brand as an innovative company that stood behind its products, and setting the stage for its continued dominance of the motorcycle industry. Honda's origins in motorcycle manufacturing trace back to the aftermath of World War II in Japan, where demand was surging for inexpensive, reliable transportation. The first motorcycle Honda designed from the ground up was the Dream D-Type, which was released in 1949 with a 98cc two-stroke engine. It garnered widespread attention for its innovative design and solid reliability. With Mr. Honda's drive for continuous improvement, the company introduced the Dream E-Type in 1951. This was a landmark motorcycle because it had Honda's first four-stroke engine with 146 cc's and overhead valves, which was considered unorthodox at the time. Within a few years, the E-Type was selling at a rate of 32,000 per year, with Honda offering later models of the series until 1959. The E-Type set new standards for motorcycle performance and efficiency, further building Honda's name as a trailblazer. It was followed in those early years by models such as the Cub F moped and the Juno scooter. Poised for global expansion, Honda was at a crossroads in the mid-1950s. In 1956, Soichiro Honda, along with his business partner and co-founder of Honda Motor Company, Takeo Fujisawa, toured Europe to promote their company and recruit distributors. While visiting Germany, they were struck by the widespread popularity of small, lightweight motorcycles and mopeds. Like Japan, Europe was experiencing a post-war economic boom, and Fujisawa could see that, like the Japanese, Europeans needed a cost-effective and reliable machine for commuting, running errands, and carrying loads too heavy for bicycles. He knew that if Honda could build that machine, it would sell better than their larger and more expensive bikes. Fujisawa could also see that as the economy improved, people naturally progressed from bicycles to mopeds, then scooters, then finally cars. Motorcycles were not typically one of those steps because they were nearly as expensive as small cars. Fujisawa believed that economies of scale could drive down the prices enough to make motorcycles a viable option. The concept took significant persuasion for Mr. Honda, whose brilliance was focused on building engines and racing. Fujisawa's belief in the potential of a small, economical, simple, reliable, and efficient motorcycle eventually won over, and Mr. Honda accepted the challenge, redirecting development resources from other projects. And so the design process began for what was known internally as the Cub. Fujisawa envisioned a motorcycle that was as user-friendly as it was powerful and reliable. Its wires, tubing, and mechanical unpleasantries should be concealed. Importantly, it should allow the rider to navigate with one hand. Fujisawa famously predicted that every delivery person in Japan would buy a motorcycle if they could drive it with one hand while carrying trays of soba noodles in the other. The Super Cub benefited from Honda's innovative use of materials and manufacturing techniques. A feature carried over from the D-Type was a frame made of stamped steel, running from the front forks to the rear. This simplified the weld joints, enhanced structural integrity, and reduced production costs. Drawing on their experience with the Juno scooter, Honda perfected polyester resin casting to make the Super Cub's fairing, further reducing production costs while improving rider protection, aerodynamics, and durability. Of course, Mr. Honda made sure that the Super Cub's engine would be a significant advancement over its predecessors. Leveraging their budding expertise in developing racing engines, Honda equipped the Super Cub with a 50cc 4-stroke engine that produced 4.5 horsepower, plenty for efficient urban commuting and rural travel. Again borrowing from the D-Type, the Super Cub featured a semi-automatic transmission which allowed takeoff and shifting without a manual clutch. This made the bike unintimidating for novices while offering all riders a more effortless experience, enhancing safety, minimizing rider fatigue, and freeing up a hand to carry soba noodles, as Mr. Fujisawa requested. Fujisawa also wanted larger diameter wheels than scooters had. This would make the Super Cub more familiar to bicycle riders and easier to drive over rough terrain, a must in areas where roads were still underdeveloped. The Super Cub's step-through design is one of its most recognizable features. By placing the engine low in the so-called underbone design, the top tube of the frame could be lowered, allowing riders to easily step onto the bike without needing to swing a leg over it, making for effortless mounting and dismounting, even with bulkier clothing or arms loaded. The bike's low seat height enhanced stability and offered an upright riding position, instilling confidence in riders of all sizes and skill levels. The final design fulfilled Fujisawa's challenge of concealing the wires, cables, and other components, and maintenance was made incredibly simple. For example, the engine could be taken out by removing just 3 bolts, and the chain was enclosed in a case that could be removed with the undoing of a couple of screws. The newly named Super Cub C100 was introduced at motor shows in 1957 and went on sale in 1958. It sold reasonably well, but not in the numbers Honda wanted and needed. Adding to the challenge of lackluster sales was an early reliability issue. Just a few months after the Super Cub's initial release, complaints started pouring in about clutch slippage. Honda had identified and resolved the clutch issue by then, but the already sold Super Cubs needed new clutches and a small part to rectify the problem. Honda and Fujisawa knew that they had to address this immediately, but they were on the eve of a Japanese national holiday week. The company's response to this challenge is the stuff of legend. During the national holidays, every Honda employee, including salespeople, office staff, and factory workers, as well as Honda and Fujisawa themselves, canceled their vacations to visit each customer who owned one of the affected bikes. By the end of the one-week holiday, Honda had fixed all the bikes, free of charge. They had not only rectified the clutch problem, they had also demonstrated to customers how easily the Super Cub could be repaired. This response set new levels of customer satisfaction, turning what could have been a disastrous story about the company's defective product to one about how the company stood behind their products. Honda's reputation for such commitment, added to the Super Cub's reputation for affordability, efficiency, and performance, quickly spread worldwide. Dealers in many markets who had previously shown little interest in the Super Cub were now eager to import and sell it. This surging global demand led Honda to build the Suzuka factory, which would be dedicated to Super Cub production when it opened in 1960. The factory was modeled after the Volkswagen Beetle plant in Wolfsburg, Germany, which Honda and Fujisawa had toured just 2 years earlier. Honda's Suzuka factory was designed to manufacture 30,000 Super Cubs per month, and it cost 10 billion yen to build. Those ambitious numbers led many in the industry to believe that Honda was taking too much risk, and that initially appeared to be true. Even though demand for the Super Cub was high, setting up distribution channels in new markets was complicated. They experienced long delays while sorting out government approvals, tariffs, regulations, permits, and taxation issues. Meanwhile, the Suzuka factory was running out of space to store Super Cubs. However, the distribution channels were eventually put in place, and Honda's investment began to pay off. Even with production numbers that reached 50,000 per month after adding a second shift, every Super Cub was sold by the time it rolled off the Suzuka line. Fujisawa's desire to make an affordable, high-performance motorcycle that could be repaired with basic tools resonated particularly well in Asia. During the 1960s, Asian countries were undergoing rapid development and some were escaping colonial rule, creating an insatiable appetite for low-cost transportation. But car ownership was still unaffordable for most in these emerging economies. The Super Cub cut the time for intercity travel in these countries from days to hours. More efficient movement of people and goods between and within towns freed up more time for other economic and recreational activities. Within a decade, the culture in countries such as Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and others had shifted from isolationist, separated villages and towns with rare visits to cities to empowering millions of people to make round trips to major urban centers in under a day. Mobility that was once an unaffordable luxury for so many people around the world had become a reality, due in no small part to the proliferation of the Super Cub. This bike also revolutionized the delivery driver industry in these regions. Fujisawa's vision for a motorcycle that could be controlled with one hand, leaving the other free to carry delivery items, proved to be another flash of his brilliance. Honda's economies of scale and strong distribution networks made replacement parts available and affordable in all markets. And the Super Cub's simplicity allowed most people to fix their own bikes instead of paying a shop to do it. Although successful in Asia and other regions, Honda had yet to fully break into the huge US market. American Honda was established in 1959 to tap that potential, but the market seemed saturated with cruisers from Indian and Harley-Davidson, as well as the more sporty European bikes. Breaking into the US market was only made possible by brilliant marketing under Fujisawa's leadership. He could see that instead of targeting existing bikers, Honda should broaden its reach to those who didn't currently see themselves as motorcyclists. To do this, Honda's marketing strategy focused on the culture surrounding the Super Cub, not just its technical specifications. Instead of emphasizing 50 cc's of earth-churning power, ads had messages like the now famous, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda." This challenged the notion that motorcycles were associated with rebellion and delinquency, and instead positioned the Super Cub as a vehicle for everyday people who valued practicality and reliability. By promoting a more inclusive and positive perception of motorcycle riders, Honda's slice of the US pie grew, but they also made the pie larger for all manufacturers. The Super Cub's marketing further expanded Honda's customer base by making motorcycles appealing to women as a means of reliable transportation and recreation. Its step-through design made it easy for women to mount and dismount the bike while wearing skirts or dresses. Its lightweight, manageable size and semi-automatic transmission made it less intimidating to new riders, regardless of gender or experience level. Over the years, the Super Cub has undergone significant changes, driven by Honda's commitment to innovation and sometimes by slumping sales as competition got stronger. Initially introduced with a simple and utilitarian design, the Super Cub received enhancements and upgraded technology over time. Honda gradually upgraded the engines, transmissions, and bodywork to modernize styling and improve performance. The Super Cub also underwent improvements in comfort, with ergonomically designed seats, adjustable handlebars, and improved suspension systems. Advancements such as electric start, capacitor discharge ignition, and digital instrumentation found their way into variants of the Super Cub, adding modern convenience and improving performance. Yet, no matter how much it has changed under its skin, this motorcycle has retained its iconic silhouette, with Honda deftly walking the tightrope between tradition and innovation. The Super Cub left an indelible mark on the motorcycle industry, reshaping public perceptions and transforming the way motorcycles were used. Its practical design catered to a diverse range of riders, including urban commuters, rural travelers, and those with limited motorcycling experience. Thanks to its rugged versatility, it played a prominent role in emerging economies, and its accessible, user-friendly nature broadened its market, contributing to its immense popularity. The success of the Super Cub propelled Honda to new heights. It was a launchpad for expansion, establishing the company as the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer and maker of so many other successful products. This motorcycle has arguably done more than any other Honda product to help the company build a worldwide brand associated with innovation, engineering excellence, and quality. The Honda Super Cub truly is a motorcycle that changed the world. Thanks for watching.